Y'all, look what I made. Look at that. Look at that. I made that. I made that. Made it from scratch. Alright, today we are going to be doing a Q&A on home birth. I am so excited about doing this video. I have been wanting to do it for a long time, but finally got inspired by all the questions in my DMs about it. I've been getting so many questions ever since the whole coronavirus quarantine has started. So I am so excited to answer all you guys' questions, and I figured this would be the easiest way to do it. So I'm just gonna get right into it. First question is, what made you choose home birth? Home birth is something that I chose a long time ago. Before I even knew if I was gonna have kids, I had watched a documentary called The Business of Being Born, and the information that I received in that video was just enough for me to know that home birth was what I wanted to do. From that moment on, I never felt like hospital birth was for me. Before that moment, I never really knew about home birth, so that's just what I knew was for me. How long did it take you to find your midwife? I found her at about 4.5, almost 5 months. The process was a little long, but it was worth it, and it seemed like I had her my whole pregnancy. It didn't seem like I only got her for a little bit of time, so. The benefits opposed to hospital. I have a list of benefits. So first things first is just being in the comfortability of your own home. Just being able to be at home, get in your own shower, sit on your own toilet, be in your own living room, be in your own bed, just everything, your own shit, your own space. So that is a huge benefit. Another benefit for me is I was able to choose who I wanted to be there. Not only just like my family, but as far as the midwives. It wasn't like I could get any random doctor that whoever was on shift that night or whatever nurse was on shift that hour while I was in labor. So I was able to know exactly who was going to be at my birth the whole time. Nobody ever came into my space or my baby's space that we didn't know. You know, all the people that were around her were people that she has heard before, she's been around, the environment was hers. So that was a huge benefit for me. Another huge benefit for me was that all my appointments came to me. So whether I was at home or at my mom's house or at my cousin's house, wherever I needed them to meet me at, they came to me. That was a huge convenience. I never had to go to a doctor's appointment. I never had to sit in the waiting room, wait to be called. If they were running late, I was already at home. I could just eat, snack, whatever. I could chill. That was amazing. Another thing, as far as even the birth, I was able to, me and her dad were the first people to touch her. So just the fact that we didn't have to get her from a doctor, or we didn't have to worry about a doctor touching her first, somebody that my baby never knew, putting their hands on her first. It was very, it was just natural. Like, her dad caught her, and then as soon as her shoulders came out, I pulled the rest of her out and put her onto my chest. Nobody touched our baby until she was about 2 hours old when they did the newborn exam. Then that's when we decided to do the newborn exam, make sure, weigh her, do all that. So that was pretty amazing, just to be able to spend that time with my baby, bonding. Nobody had ever touched her. She never, got to, experience people she didn't know. It was just an amazing feeling. By the time that anybody touched my baby, I had already breastfed her. She had already used the bathroom, all of that good stuff. So that was another benefit. I never felt rushed in labor. It was never like, okay, well, if your labor goes this far, then we might have to start looking at this option. Hey, don't be hating. It was never none of that. So that was another good thing, because some of the labors that I have been at, or stories that I have heard, I hear a lot about people saying oh, well, if you don't have her by this time, or we're gonna do this. So that was one thing that I never had to hear or, feel under pressure about. So that's another. What company did you go through? I went through a company called BirthStream. I found them actually on Instagram. I was going through, you know how you're on your story and then like those little ads pop up for little stuff that you can get because they be spying on you when you be Googling, but whatever. Yeah, so I have been Googling, obviously looking for midwives, and I had not been successful because all the midwives that I had found all wanted $5,000. They all wanted their money before the baby was born, and none of them would come to the birth if I had not paid in full before the baby was born. So I, at that point, was just stuck. I was almost 5 months pregnant. I didn't know what I was going to do. I know I did not want to have my baby at the hospital, but I knew I couldn't afford to dish out $5,000 before my baby got here either. So the ad popped up, clicked on them, got to their website, and I called them. The first person I called was Rachel, and I just knew instantly, like, wow, she was not like any other midwife that I had talked to. From the very beginning, she made it very clear that she was not worried about the money. It was not about the money. That if I wanted to have a home birth, they were going to do what they needed to do to make sure that that was possible for me if I chose them. And that just made me feel really comfortable in and of itself. Me and Rachel ended up being on the phone for about 45 minutes, and we scheduled the first consultation, and it was history from there. So found them on Instagram, and the question is, how much was it? So the way they do it is it can be anywhere between $3,500 and $5,000, just depending on what you need and what works best for you in your life situation. So for me, what I needed and what works best for me, I ended up paying $35,000. So the next question is, did my insurance cover it? No, my insurance did not cover it. I ended up paying out of pocket, but like I said, they work with me and I'm able to make payments. So that was not an issue that I had to deal with. Were you scared to have her at home? No, I was scared to have her, period. I was scared that a human had to come out of my vagina in general. Other than that, I was not scared about just being at home in general. I'm more scared of the hospital. I'm more scared of the doctors, the shots, all of that. I've never even stayed overnight in a hospital, so I'm more scared of that. As far as like, was I scared that something was gonna happen to her, or like something would go wrong? I didn't allow myself to think too far into those things. I knew that if I needed to, I would go to the hospital. I trusted that my baby was going to get here safely, and if anything needed to happen, that I would get her to the hospital in a timely manner, and we would go from there. So I did not let those fears get too far into my mind. Like I said, my main fears were just having to have a human out of my vagina, period. Did your water break on its own? Yes and no. My midwife says she did not pop it. She did not break it. She didn't go in and manually break it. But as she was checking my cervix, it did break. So I don't know if it was just the position change or it was just a coincidence, but it broke at the same time as that. So I don't really know. How did you know you were in labor? I knew I was in labor. I'm gonna just knock my dang paper down. I knew I was in labor. At first I didn't know I was in labor, but I started to have contractions around 1:30. I thought it was kind of strange though, because unlike other times that I had Braxton Hicks, these contractions were very consistent. They weren't like too strong. They were just mild, like a period cramp, but they kept coming every 10 minutes on the dot. So that was a little strange to me. I had a doctor's appointment later that day though, a midwife appointment later that day, so I wasn't really too worried about it. I figured I would just ask her when I seen her. And of course she couldn't say, oh yeah, you're in labor, because they don't do things like, they don't check your cervix before you're in labor. Like they barely even check it when you're in labor unless you ask them to, really. So I never knew for sure if I was in labor, like when I went to that appointment. She just told me to go on about my day and see from there. But yes, indeed, I was in labor. I knew later because the contractions never stopped. What position did you find most comfortable during contractions? For the most part of my contractions, bless you. For the most part of my contractions, I rocked through them. Like I just swayed my hips back and forth and back and forth. That was what I found most comfort. Whether I was doing that on the toilet or kneel down on a chair or with my face on the ground and my butt in the air, I was just had to be swaying my hips some type of way. So, which is super funny because as you see, my daughter rocks all the time. She literally sways back and forth all the time. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I think that's pretty interesting. Did you use any pain meds? No, I did not use any pain meds. Being at home, I never had the option for pain meds, but I knew that going into it. Pain was never really my concern. I knew it was gonna hurt, and I just knew that I had to do it. Got to get the baby out of the vagina one way or another. So I didn't want to go to the hospital, didn't want those. So I never really too much considered pain medication. That pain was not really my concern. Did you do a water birth? I was not able to do a water birth. As bad as I wanted to do a water birth, it just did not work out for me. I did get in the tub when she was coming, and when I thought she was coming, at least I was pushing in there. I don't know if I was pushing too early or if she just didn't want to come out in the water. I don't know, but I did not end up having her in the water. I couldn't get her out in the water, so I ended up having her. Here you go. I ended up having her on my bed. So I had her on my back too, which is another thing that I thought I never wanted either. But what I learned is that your body wants what your body wants in labor. It has nothing to do with you. It is all about your body and the baby. So she ended up being born on the bed where she wakes up every morning. So that's pretty cool. Did you drink wine to help with pain? So the midwife told me like, oh, you guys, if you have any wine, you could drink some wine. That would probably help you relax. So I did not have any wine, so I was like, okay, well, we can walk to the store. There's a store right down the street. Me and two of my friends, we walked to the store, and oh my gosh, that walk was treacherous. I was having contractions like every 5 minutes, and we had to stop and rock through the contractions. And by the time we got to the store, took us like 45 minutes to get to the store. And then we got there, and the store was closed. So no, I did not get any wine. I was able to smoke some cannabis though, and I thought that would help with my pain, but it didn't. Nothing really helped. I asked for a Motrin actually, but they were like, oh, bitch, you can't have no goddamn Motrin. So I just dealt with it. I just grin and bear it, rocked through it, and that was that. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I really did think that the weed was gonna help me, but it didn't. So no. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad was the pain? I would say it was a 10 at times, but it was also a 6 at times. You know, it's just different contractions definitely come with different strengths. So some hurt worse than others. I will say towards the end, it was definitely a 10 plus. If there is a 10 plus, it was a 10 plus some more. Yeah, it was not comfortable. But the thing is, you do get breaks, you know? So you have breaks during your contractions, and I was just trying to sleep during my little 1 minute breaks, and I just knew I had to get the human out the vagina. So I didn't have a choice. And it was what it was. The next, how long was your labor? Ami had me in labor for 50 hours. 50. Yeah, you did that. 50 hours. It was the longest 50 hours of my life, that's for sure. And I never knew when it was going to be over. So, yeah. Did you do a lotus birth? For those of you who don't know what lotus birth is, that is basically when you leave the placenta and the umbilical cord attached until it naturally falls off. No, I did not do a lotus birth. That was not for me. I did not want to be carrying around a placenta and a baby and taking care of a vagina that just had a human. Okay, that was just too many things for me to do at one time. And I really did not like my placenta that much. It wasn't something that I wanted to sleep with at night. So no, but I did leave it on for about 2 hours. So that was cool. It got, got finished pumping and doing all that good stuff. I left it on for the good 2 hours, and then I was like, okay, you can take this off now. So no, did not do a lotus birth. Did you eat your placenta? No. Well, kind of. I didn't like eat it like, I didn't make a taco out of it or like put it in a smoothie or just like bite it. But I did have my midwives put it into capsules, and I took those as vitamins. I took them for about like a week and a half, and then I stopped. I ain't gonna lie with y'all. I didn't really see that big of a benefit, so I didn't take them. I do still have them. I don't know, when I get sick or something, I might pop a few and see if that helps, or I don't know. But so yeah, yes and no. Technically I ate it, but not like that. What was the most challenging part, mentally and physically? Mentally, I will say the most challenging part would just be having no control over when it's over, or the situation, like having no control over the pain, having no control when you're going to have another contraction, and just not knowing when the baby's going to be here. Like, it's like, you seem like you've been in labor forever and the baby should be here already, but she's not, and nobody can tell you when she's coming. That is the hardest part. Okay, so mentally just preparing and going through the marathon of that and not giving up. Physically, hey, what's the matter? You want to get down? Physically, for me, the hardest part was just how exhausted I was. Oh my gosh, after being in labor for so long, I was just so exhausted, and I did not know when I was ever going to be able to go to sleep again. Like, I felt like I was never going to go to sleep again, and I still feel like I have not been to sleep since. But you learn to live with no sleep, and it's okay. But yeah, that was the hardest part physically, just being so exhausted and knowing that there was no giving up. There was no end to it except for getting this dang human out of my mental vagina. So that was the hardest part physically. I also did end up tearing, so that sucked because that was one thing that I was scared of, and I did end up tearing. I can't tell you exactly how many stitches I got, but I definitely think that my midwife tried to make it sound better than it was, because I don't know. It just seemed like she put a lot of stitches in there. I don't know. So yeah, they do all that at home too. So that was pretty cool. They just sprayed me with the lidocaine, and I didn't feel it or anything. So yeah, stitched me up, and that was another kind of hard part. Just like healing and just being careful, for that area and all that. So, but I'm good now. Would you do it again? Absolutely. If I had another kid, I would go this route a million times again. For me personally, I don't see myself ever having a hospital birth unless it was medically necessary. So unless something went wrong, or unless I had a high-risk pregnancy that, required me to be in the hospital, I don't really see any reason for me to go to the hospital. Would you change anything? The only thing that I would really change is that I do wish that I had her in the water. I really have always wanted to have a water birth. That's what I thought a home birth meant, is water birth, but no, it isn't. It's not the same thing. But yeah, that's the only thing that I would really change. But everything happens for a reason. How would I go about doing a home birth? If you are somebody who is interested in home birth, I just think first things first, do your research, watch The Business of Being Born. That'll help you think about it a little harder. Find your midwife. You can find them based on Google, or you can go look at the hashtags for your area. You can ask somebody who you know. You can ask me if you're in Sacramento. So yeah, you can just, once you choose your midwife, everything else kind of just goes with the flow. Your midwives will give you step-by-step directions from there. Next question is, would you recommend it? Why or why not? As far as me recommending it, if you would have asked me this before I had my baby, absolutely, I recommend it for everybody. It is amazing. But learning that different people need different things. You know what I'm saying? Different people have different needs. There are some people who don't even want to go through the pain of having a home birth. They don't see the point of that. You know what I'm saying? So no, I wouldn't recommend it for somebody like that. I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who doesn't tolerate pain too well. I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who wants to be in an environment for their baby, like medically, who wants things medically done to them. I don't recommend it for that type of person. But if you are somebody who has thought about it before and you're interested in it, I definitely think it's worth looking into. Like I said, I can't specifically say I recommend it, but I think it's definitely worth looking into it. And if you are that type of person, that is what you would choose. And as far as I know, I think you would love it. And if you are not that type of, you'll love your hospital birth as well. You know, I know many people who have done hospital births and they have great stories. So that has, it doesn't attest to, you know, what kind of birth you have. Everybody's birth is equal. We all have to get humans out of our bodies, which is pretty insane. We create humans from scratch. Like, who's better than that? So ultimately, it doesn't matter how your baby gets out or where your baby gets out. All that matters is that your baby is safe and that you chose what was best for you. And I chose what was best for me. So like I said, any other questions, just let me know. You can just leave them in the comments below or hop in my DMs, and I'm more than happy to give you guys any information that you need. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon.